Guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, hi, I'm Jyotsna and I make a lot of bookish content on this channel. So if you like my content, please consider subscribing, liking, doing the usual. And today's video is specifically going to be about how can you meet your Goodreads reading goals this year. This video is going to contain 5 tips that you can use in order to achieve or meet your reading goals this year, especially like the quantitative goals that you set on Goodreads, where you are like, oh, I'll read 50 books a year, or I'll read 100 books a year. And I think for me, like the most special tip out of all of these is the last one. Like all of these are important tips, and I think you should apply them if you're really considering reading that many books a year. But the last one is something that I'm really looking forward to and sharing with you guys. So let's get started. So let's get on with the first tip. And the first tip is a very basic tip that you must have heard in hundreds of videos by now, but I want to like approach it in a different manner. Okay, my first tip is assess the goal that you've already set. Okay, assess the goal from last year, assess the goal this year. For example, if last year you read 50 books, you set a goal of 50 books and you read 50 books, but this year you have set double that goal, that's 100 books, and you're not sure if you will kind of meet like 100 books, I want you to assess internally. Okay, the thing is that a lot of times we kind of keep high hopes at the start of the year, and when we approach the end of the year, it kind of gets a bit tricky to actually meet the goal. Okay, so I'm going to be like countering this in my second tip, of course, but my first step to you is check your schedule, check your life in general, and see when can you actually dedicate like 30 minutes to 1 hour to reading. And it's when you do that that you actually take the first step towards meeting your reading goals on Goodreads. So the first step being stated, I have to get to the second tip because it's not an extension, but it's an important tip that I want to tell you, is that if you are someone who kind of does not get driven or gets anxious due to that huge Goodreads goal, then let me give you an idea. Make an incremental Goodreads goal system like I do. Okay, so I don't like, I get anxious when I see 100 books as the number or 50 books as the number. So this is what I do. I start with 20 books. Yeah, I know you can start at 5 books, you can start with 10 books, and the moment I reach like 20 books, I increase the goal to 30 books. The point is that goals on Goodreads are editable. Okay, Goodreads will never tell you that, oh, you cannot edit it now, and you can edit it a number of times. There's no limit to that as well. So if you want to start, like we are still in January, we are only done with like 3 weeks of the year. We are in the 4th week right now. My point is that go back to your Goodreads after you finish the first step, that is assess your goal and assess your schedule, and change your goal to 10 or 20 books. Like when you see a manageable number there, you will be able to like meet that goal, and after you meet that goal, then you will be increasing the goal to like 20 or 10 books more. It's a very helpful process because you are basically tricking your brain into reading like 10-20 books, and then you are supposed to read 10 more books, and like that when you keep saying, oh, let's for the sake of simplicity, let's take 5 books. So if your first initial goal is 5 books, you meet 5 books, then you put 5 more books, and then the brain's like, oh, I read 5 books, I can read 5 more books, and that's how you like keep incrementing. And let me tell you, this is like the single most helpful thing that I think 90% of the people go wrong with, because for the 10% the number doesn't give them anxiety, but if the number gives you anxiety, better do this on an incremental level. And that being said, so the first 2 tips were about Goodreads and how to set your goals on Goodreads specifically and how to assess things. But my third tip is simply going to be an important one, and that is read multiple books at a time. Yes, I know. Hold on. If you want help, I have a very special and separate video down in the description box for you guys in order to kind of understand how you can read multiple books at one point of time. But let me just tell you that reading multiple books at a time totally changed my life. Okay, I know people on planet Earth personally who just read one book at a time and still end up reading 100 plus books a year. But those people are people who keep reading on a continuous basis, right? But if you are like me and you don't read on a continuous basis, and when I say continuous, it means like people like these who read like one book at a time and finish 120 books, like they're reading throughout the day. Okay, there are like they take chunks of time during the day just to sit and read like 2 hours, 3 hours, and that's how they do it. But if you do not have that much time and if you're just planning to spend maximum 1 hour reading per day, then I think you should really consider reading multiple books at a time, because that will help you achieve your qualitative goal, that is, sorry, your quantitative goal, not qualitative goal, your quantitative goal of reading multiple quantitative goal like the Goodreads goal. So reading multiple books at a time really helps. Trust me, like it's a game changer once you start it. And if you cannot do it, like that's okay. Again, we come back to tip one where I told you that you want to reassess your goal a bit and be a bit more realistic with it, considering that you're going to dedicate a chunk of your life to reading books. Now, the fourth tip that I really have to mention, and honestly, I mean, I cannot believe I'm mentioning this because we all need to learn this, and that is select books that you'll actually like. Okay, my personal favorite motto in life is I don't read hyped up books. I don't read the hype because in my past experience, hype books have always disappointed me. Yes, like 10% of the books, of the hyped up books that I read, I absolutely love them. I've fallen in love with them. But the rest of the 90% just sucks big time. Okay. So my point is that don't depend on the hype. Don't rely yourself like on the hype. Select books, or if you come across a book, look it up, check it on Goodreads, check it on other platforms as well to see a review of the book if you're a review person, or maybe just read the back of the book or the Goodreads description box and think for yourself whether you like this book or not. If you like this book, then I think you should go ahead and read it. But if you know that you're not going to like this book, or it's something that it's not your taste, then maybe you should not go ahead and read it. But a disclaimer here is that, of course, there are books that we want to get to, but we think that are challenging, and you're like, oh my god, this is a challenging book. Should I read this or not? My point is, yes, you should read challenging books. It's a challenging book is a book that you think that you may not like, but you may end up liking it. But then there are certain books that you know that you won't like at the very start of the book itself, and you still continue reading it. So my point is, like what you read and read what you like. It's as simple as that. And by the way, if you're reading a book and you don't like the book, then please consider DNFing, because it's very, very important that you keep your reading life sane and intact by reading books that you actually like. And then getting to my fifth and my special point, and this is a very important point because this is something that I also tend to do. This is something that's helped me a lot. Don't only keep a quantitative goal. Okay, don't only keep like a number in your mind. What I want you to do is, along with your Goodreads goal, kind of maybe enter into some challenges, or challenge yourself to read something that's more qualitative. Now, honestly, I'm not the person who tells people to read 100 books a year, or I'm not someone who reads 100 books a year. If you see my past Goodreads challenges, Goodreads link down in the description box, you will see that I have never read 100 books a year, like never. Okay, the maximum that I've reached is I think 93, and that was in 2020. But then in 2021, I had decided that now I'm not going to read 100 books a year. I am not going to read like a huge number of books. That's not my aim. My aim is to read more quality. Okay, quality over quantity is my motto any day. So my point is that if you have like a quantitative goal, that's very good, well enough, but always pair it with a qualitative goal. And now, example, if you plan to read like 50 books a year, let's just take 50 as a simple example, right? What you will do is basically all the steps I told you, like from 1 to 4. And as the fifth step, what you're going to do is think about what those 50 books should be about. What are you expecting from those 50 books? Are you looking forward to read more LGBTQ literature? Are you looking forward to read more non-fiction? Maybe you're like 25 of the books should be non-fiction and the other 25 should be fiction, concentrating on marginalized communities. Or maybe you want to read like a BIPOC author. The point is that the quantitative advantage is limited, but the qualitative advantage is unlimited. Okay, because when it comes to quality, you can pick, choose, drop, whatever you want to do. But when it comes to quantity, you can just like go in binary. Like you cannot be like I'm going to read 50.5 books. You're just going to be like I'm going to read 50 books or 51 books and so on, right? But with quality, you can do a lot of mismatches. You can do a lot of things. So my suggestion is that when you keep like a goal which is qualitative in mind, then it's going to be much easier for you to meet that quantitative goal, because you're going to seek books, you're going to find books from that particular genre, from that particular author, from that particular, bucket, basically, that particular queue of things, and you're going to like it. And that's all that matters, because you at the end of the day should meet your reading goals, including your Goodreads reading goals. So that being said, let's recap everything. Okay, what are you going to do? I'm going to tell you right now everything in 5 steps. Number 1, go ahead and check out your Goodreads. If you've entered like 50, 80, 100 books, how much ever it is, check if the goal is really practical or not. And the way you will do it is by checking how much time can you dedicate per day to reading. Okay, so this is like an overall estimate. This is like the big vision, because you're trying to understand that in the long run, how many books can I read? The second tip is, of course, I forgot the second tip. Okay, I remember the second tip. The second tip is basically, after you do this assessment, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and kind of understand whether you are that anxious person who gets anxious looking at 50 books to read or 100 books to read, and instead follow an incremental system. That is, start with 5 books, start with 10 books, and then once you reach 5 or 10, you should delete or edit the Goodreads goal to 20 or 30 books. Okay, and that way, when you keep going for incremental goals, your brain is tricked into actually reading more books than it thought that it could, and it's a good confidence builder as well. And that gets me to the third tip. The next thing that you're going to do is try to read multiple books at a time. Again, there's a video in the description box to do this, or to help you do this. If you do not know how to read multiple books at a time, it's a very, very interesting video, not because I made it, because it even has a schedule to follow, so that you can go ahead and actually read the books in multiple books at the same time. Basically, go ahead and check it out. So what I want you to do is start with one book, and the video also explains this in a very good manner. So start with one book, start with 2 books, and then as and when you go, keep increasing your number, and that's how you find your sweet spot. That's how you find your appetite in general. For me, my appetite, my sweet spot is 3 books at a time. But then when it's like getting all then I'm like 4 books, and I've nothing more than 4. And I've promised myself in 2022, I'm not going to read more than 4 books at a time. And that being said, the next step, of course, is to select your books with care. Read books that you like, and like the books that you read. It's as simple as that. If you're not liking a book that you're reading, DNF it. If you think that you're going to, not like a book by reading its excerpt, then please don't read it. Don't be hard on yourself. And that being said, the last tip, which is like the mega tip, is don't only have like a Goodreads goal in the form of a number, also have a Goodreads or any kind of goal in terms of quality. That is, try to read more LGBTQ books this year. Try to read more BIPOC authors this year. Try to read more quality over quantity, because the quantity does not matter at the end of the day if you're reading like shit books and books that don't make you happy. What you want to do is enjoy the process, learn something new through it, and learn something about yourself as well. Being self-aware is like everything, to be very honest. So yeah. So yes, that's it. Like, those are my tips to meet your Goodreads goals this year. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, do check out my other videos as well. And please do like the video, share it with your friends, because I think this is like a very important video to watch, especially since you're at the start of the year. I know that it's at the end of the year when you run around for your Goodreads goals and stuff like that. But if you start like 12 months before itself, then I think it's going to be a very, very smooth journey for you, and you're going to learn a lot more about yourself and things around you than you would have like otherwise. So yes, this is the end. Drop a like, drop a comment if you want to discuss something, and do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.